I'm not going to hold my breath until California allows lithium mining to happen in that state, and the EPA allows it with their threat on mining across the country. And without baseload generation, you're not going to have the energy produced to make all the EVs work, so we need baseload generation. And then you also need copper mining for the motors. You have to wind copper around them and make motors that go in the EVs. So, why is there a threat on and an assault on mining in this country? It's just baffling that we're talking about mining here. Mr. Howell, will you commit to answering the questions raised in our December 14th letter regarding DOE's grant awarded to Microvast?
Would you ask that question again?
Will you commit to answering the questions that we raised in this December 14th letter to you or to Secretary Granholm about Microvast?
Thank you. I will take that back to the Department of Energy. That's actually handled by another office. I'm actually not.
So you're just committing to taking that question that I just asked you back? You're not committing to answering the question?
The Department of Energy is in the process of answering those questions.
Since December 14th? Wow. It's over 6 months. The Register Greens resulted in new efficiency standards with marginal efficacy, and that will increase our reliance on foreign manufacturers. We heard from others already about critical components, from distribution transformers to capacitors for HVDC transmission lines. New efficiency standards have required different manufacturing processes we have and limited supply domestically. I guess the Lithium Valley will solve all that. Unfortunately, instead of utilizing the few manufacturers we have here at home, we see contracts go abroad. I heard the ranking member of the full committee talk about Republicans. Republicans wanted onshore industry. We were called fascists and nationalists, wanting to make America great again, wanting to bring manufacturing back to this country, provide jobs and the critical components that we need to make it all work. So does MESC provide any advice or coordination with other department programs such as the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy to advise on how proposed efficiency standards will impact domestic supply chains?
We do have partnerships across the Department of Energy in terms of actually advising EE. It would be in the manufacturing capacity of our expertise rather than the efficiency capacity expertise. So in terms of manufacturing of transformers and high voltage DC components and things of that nature, that's where our expertise would lie.
Shouldn't those be made here in the United States?
Absolutely.
Right now we're relying on Italy and Germany. For the first phase of transmission line infrastructure build out, it's a European company that is sourcing capacitors from Siemens and a company in Italy. Shouldn't those be made here? These are critical, right?
Yes, sir.
60,000 needed for the infrastructure.
And we ask your support to help MESC to actually develop programs.
There's a company in South Carolina that actually can make the capacitors. But yeah, they're competing with a European company because the company that got awarded the contract is from Europe. What if Europe decides they're going to build out their infrastructure and, hey, they need all the capacitors? Then we don't have a supply chain here. 60,000 that are needed.
I'm not aware of the specific award you're talking about.
In your testimony, you mentioned the department is standing up a $65 million program, battery and critical material recycling retailers as collection points and state and local programs. Who do you think should be responsible for the disposal of EV batteries at the end of their life?
Well, it could cut across the owner of the vehicle and the actual...
We're putting the burden on the owner to know where to dispose these or to dispose them themselves?
Typically, vehicles already disposed of, salvaged. And so we would see that we would be working with those salvage dealers and companies and associations to actually collect the vehicles like they do today and safely transport key components like the battery to a recycling center.
See, I see these shade tree mechanics having to dispose of them, not knowing where to put them, and taking them to their local landfill.
They're actually, well, they would not be compatible with the local landfill. And however, they're also actually valuable and worth money. So I don't think, I would hope that
well, that's assuming you have recyclers out there that will actually pay somebody for them. Should the taxpayer bear the cost of recycling the EV batteries?
EV batteries right now are actually profitable to recycle because of the cobalt and the nickel and the lithium.
I know of one company that's doing it.
There are several companies actually doing it.
All right. I'd love to know who they are. Has MSC consulted states and localities or received any feedback about the potential role in the recycling process?
Oh, we have. And we've worked with the Environmental Protection Agency as well. in their consumer electronics programs. So we're working with EPA, we're working with the NHTSA and the Pipeline Hazardous Materials Agency to make sure that we put in process the capability to safely collect batteries, to store them, and to transport them to a recycling center.
Lord, I hope so, because, these are highly toxic. And I know of a case, I'm glad the Environment Committee is having a brownfield hearing this week, because I know of one instance where a transformer was thrown into a landfill in New Jersey. And the company that manufactured it on behalf of the DOD, because they were required to during World War II, ended up having to pay millions of dollars in fines. They didn't throw it in the landfill. They were just the manufacturer. Somebody did. If the consumer throws a lithium battery in a landfill, who's responsible for the cleanup? Mr. Chairman, I yield back.